Okay. Shalom. First and foremost, can say Kalam Yahweh Bashim Yashai Bashim Akakwadash. Have honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, G Master, who rule and teach well. And today, I'm just going to get into a quick lesson. I got to get these videos out. I was actually sitting on my ass on this one because I was just like I thought of the idea earlier this morning. I was like, maybe I should talk about it. Maybe I thought about it yesterday. But then I was like, man, I just want to find a certain piece of information. And I just I couldn't really find it. So I'm just going to go into it and just run through it on a basic level. Still need to be extra deep. All right, so this book of Daniel, chapter 9, verse 24. I'm just going to break down 24 to 27. 7 weeks to return upon thy people, upon the holy city, to finish transgression, to make end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Right, so 7 weeks, 7 times 7 is 49, which really represents 490 years, right? Which means that 70 weeks, right? Because 1 week is 7 years, because 490 years, right? 7 weeks and 3 squared together is 7 weeks. 3 score is 69 weeks, and that's pretty much, around about 69, 70 weeks is 483 to 490 years from the building of the temple. Yahushua is about 483 years. The prophecies, are on point. You got it from the angel Gabriel, right? And it said, to make an end for sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity. Right, it's the book of Isaiah 53 and 10. You'll please the Lord to bruise him, he hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his own offering for sin, he shall see his seed, he shall spread along his days, and the pleasures of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. Right, of course, talking about Yahushua, right, to bring in everlasting righteousness, right, make reconciliation for iniquity, make an end of sins, right, which will come completely with the new covenant, right? Obviously, there's no end to sin right now, right? No shit, but that will come in the kingdom, right? Right now, we're having reconciliation. Yahushua died, for us, because you got to read on down. We'll go into it. I think maybe there's something in Hebrews that goes into it. Yeah, Hebrews 2 and 17. Wherefore in all things it behoveth him to be made like unto his brethren, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to the Most High, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people, right? Not of the people, not like everybody, sins of his people. Because I think it's Matthew 1 and 24, I believe. It says that he shall save his people, right? Yahushua came to save his people. He didn't come to save everyone. You don't need us, right? These other nations, they have their own stuff, right? Yahushua is for us. We need Yahushua, It's for us, And he was a Judite, right? He came from the tribe of Judah. He was an Israelite. He wasn't a Hamite. He was, he wasn't from any other nation. He was an Israelite. Both of his parents were Israelites. And I think, of course, the father comes through King David. I think Mary came through the Asmoneans, if I'm correct. I don't know if I'm right about that. I believe she might have, she may be related to one or something. I don't know where I read that, but could be wrong. But the father, which is the most important thing, of course, comes through the line of David, King David, right? So that was that. After 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, right? But not for himself. The people, the prince that shall come, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with the flood, unto the end of the war, desolation to determine. 2 weeks, right? It's the same. Same 483, right? So 60, 60 and 14. I think it's like 60 and 14. So the 740. So it's the same periods. Because here you have like 70 weeks. It's the same thing. Right, but not for himself. Yahushua's on the scene. Up until Yahushua was crucified for sins. Yahshua didn't get punished for anything he did for his life of Solomon. Right, it's deeper. Understand? I'm not gonna get into all that. Right, but he wasn't cut off for himself. He wasn't cut off for anything he did. Read that Hebrews 2 and 17. He died to make reconciliation, for his people, right? And that's a whole other topic. Could go into like Romans 11 and all that. Now I think about that, man, it's beautiful. Make sure I write that down somewhere. I could go into Romans 11 again. Constantly, be like thinking about like, man, I go into this lesson. I personally, man, I don't like the feeling of like, man, I don't know what to do. Because there's always something to talk about, so it's just like, you gotta sit and think, So maybe I gotta get back. Cause I used to do that when I was first coming in. Like I used to have my little notepad and I'd write things down and be like, I'll talk about this day, and then the next day I'll talk about this. And like I really had like a list of topics that I go down. You don't gotta do that, But I was like, maybe that might be a good idea to do again, and then maybe some days you leave that order. Then if you have a stockpile of things, and you'll never run out. But it doesn't matter because you'll never run out of topics anyway, right? So the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the people in the sanctuary. Vespasian Flavian dynasty, 70 AD, right? The temple which Herod built was destroyed during the siege. Matthew 24 and like the first couple of chapters talks about that. It was burnt down in I think it was started with Vespasian. One of them, he actually mourned. It was Titus. He actually mourned at the destruction of the temple. Like such a beautiful place that was destroyed. Which we all know Herod added onto it. Princess World this time was Esau, right? And we don't have to go into all that, right? Prince of the power of the air, the flood. When the Romans took down Titus in 70 AD, Titus in Domitian, floods is representation of enemies, right? It's all that, right? You shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. In the midst of the week, you shall call the sacrifice of oblation to cease, for the overspreading of abomination shall make it desolate even until the consummation, and that the term shall be poured upon the desolate. Which confirmed the covenant with many for 1 week. The treaty Rome had with Israel, right? They did allow us to do our own thing. He reneged on his part of agreement, which, if anything, he really reneged, starting with 63 BC. I believe 63 BC is when you get Pompey on the scene, and basically became like a client state to the Romans. And I think it was Pompey. He wanted to put an idol in Judea, and like they said, like, hell no, because we know what happens to us when stuff like that goes down. Like, we get judged big time, like big time, big time judgment, so like no, like we fight tooth and nail for that, right? Because that's our ways, to coach us what the Most High told us to do, right? That's part of us seeking the old paths, which the old path was always the right. It's not really old, it's the right path. It just happens to be the path that be followed. You know, we're supposed to fight for it. It's supposed to just be like, oh, whatever. You know, I'll take the MOTB. Oh, I'll take it. That sounds good. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah. No, you're supposed to say, no. Oh, why? Because I don't wanna. You know, you gotta explain all that to them. Most I will, well, you know, you gotta think about what you're gonna say. Most I put in your mouth what you're gonna say, but you know, I have that mindset. It's like, no, because I don't wanna. No, like, why don't you give it to like someone else? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're wasting my time, bro. Like, I don't want to do that shit. I mean, I know it's Jacob's Trouble and all that, and like the countries and collapse, but like I could literally find a million other things to do right now and like have you try to convince me to take a fucking piece of shit chip. Like, never. You know? It's important. Right? Making light of it, but it's really deadly serious. Don't take that thing. Right? Now I was actually looking for it. For the life of me, I couldn't find. This is what was making me, like, I actually thought of this video by the time I came home, like about an hour and a half ago, and I was just thinking, like, why can't I find this? Like I saw the Roman treaty, right? You read about that in the Book of Maccabees. I think they went to Rome like twice, just for amnesty. Well, not really. Well, to set up amicable relations with them. And they remember they gave them gold. I don't know if Japheth was still rolling. I think Japheth was still rolling at that time. Maybe he saw slowly worming his way up. But, you know, I couldn't find anywhere where anyone ties what's going on in John 11 to the treaty back in Maccabees. They just say that the Romans gave certain rights, to the Pharisees, to these high-ranking elders and people like that, and they basically wanted to keep that. I also read up about Herod's personal army. It could be true, could be not. I'm not going to get super deep. It's unnecessary, fuck, why can't I think? Why can't I fucking think right now? I can't think right now. Like, I don't. I'm trying to explain what I'm trying to say. Herod's personal army, they say that a lot of them was like wealthy, like figures from wealthy Israelite families that was actually making up the majority of his army, which is pretty interesting to think about if it's true. But of course, he had plenty of mercenaries from Thracia and these other parts of the world, Gaelic tribes, different Japhites, different peoples. Just like John Hyrcanus, he also had mercs. I think he was the first leader to ever have mercs. We never had mercs in times past, unless you maybe let's say like Abraham or something. Like he had like a group of servants under him that like trained servants. They were from like different nations or something. Maybe they were Egyptians. I can't remember where they were from, but he had servants under him that he trained, that like bodyguards and stuff like that. But don't judge me on that. Just believe that's what was said. That's another video. But other than that, the only advice show.